This episode of Living the Dram is brought to you by Rupert's Pet Cremation and Transport. Rupert's Pet Cremation and Transport offers individual pet cremations on the Central Coast. They aim to ease the grief associated with losing a beloved pet by providing a compassionate and respectful service. Rupert's fully trained and caring team will look after everything, from collection to return of your pet's ashes within 4 business days. They have a range of urns to choose from, and you can personalise the plaque with your own inscription. Furthermore, each cremation package comes with a free memorial box and a range of keepsakes. You can customise the package by adding a framed paw print mould and or garden memorial stone. More information available at www.rpct.com.au, and if you mention the Living the Dram podcast for a free paw print mould with your cremation package. Conditions apply. Rupert's Pet Cremation and Transport. They treat your pet like their own.
This episode of Living the Dram is brought to you by the Duff Bars, providing safe, fun, affordable and responsible travel to music festivals around Australia. You know what I fucking hate? I've said it before.
What do you hate, Rick?
I hate driving.
Yeah.
I fucking hate driving.
Especially at festivals.
I can't think of anything worse than spending 4 days partying and then by the end of it being in the closest you've ever brought yourself to liver shutdown.
So bad.
And
driving there is bad enough, but driving home?
Having to get yourself home from, Wagga? 5.5 hours?
Oh, yeah. It's not a fun drive.
I can't think of anything worse. I'd rather punch myself in the balls for 5 hours.
And that's fair. Yeah. You'd enjoy that more.
Probably would.
It means the last 2 days of your festival, basically, you're on rations.
Mm-hmm.
Can only drink. Terrible.
Well, the Duff Bus, one of the greatest thing I've heard of in recent times. The Duff Bus has been safely carrying people interstate for 5 years, and it's much, much more than just a coach journey. The Duff Bus is an environmentally friendly alternative to driving, and they're committed to reducing the carbon footprint of festivals. The Duff Bus offers you an experience you'll never forget. You're going to make new friends for life when you travel with a bunch of awesome, like-minded Duffers. And rather than spending that $100, $200, what's the cost of petrol these days? It just went up to $1.70.
It ain't cheap. It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you $100 each way.
Easy, yeah. And then driving out to rural, who knows where.
Yeah.
And then you get herded like a bloody cow into a holding pen before you get in, while they, randomly check your car randomly.
That's an unpleasant experience.
Look at that. I would rather be kicking back on a bus with a bunch of like-minded duffers getting psyched.
Already on it too.
Exactly. Yeah, getting started, warming each other. It's kind of par for the course though, going hard on the first night. Everybody regrets it, but everybody does it.
It's true. But you can still go hard on the first night. You just get to go even harder because you've warmed up already.
Exactly.
Bless you.
And once you get there too, they set up an awesome camp, nice place to kick back, and they just keep the good times rolling. And the 2019-2020 summer sees the Duff Bus heading to the postponed Subsonic, and I believe Rambo might have suffered a similar fate.
I think it may have been postponed, but more information available through the Duff Bus.
Yeah, at www.duffbus.com.au. They also head to Earth Freak, Esoteric, and Rabbit's Eat Lettuce. A single Duff return trip costs from about $100. But if you're multi-duffing this year, you can book multiple trips and save cash. For every additional trip you book, you'll save about $30.
That's good value, because driving there and back is going to cost you at least more than that.
I think
you're saving money.
Straight up. Time, your only non-renewable resource. You have actually time to do shit which might be just fucking... Just chill.
Yeah, well,
just detox, just process.
Or detox on the way back. Warm up on the way there, detox on the way back. But but just in fuel, like that. Yeah. That's cheaper than the fuel.
Yep.
Straight up.
Yeah, great point.
Don't be stupid.
Fantastic point. Be part of the solution. Don't be stupid. Check out www.doofbus, that's doofbus.com.au for more info. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome,
Rickus.
Welcome, friends. Welcome, family. Welcome, esteemed colleagues. Welcome, countrymen and Romans.
Have your ears back.
Lend them, and also purse your lips and moisten those taste buds.
We've got a lovely treat today, Rickus.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get spayed.
We are going to get spayed.
Once again.
It just happens to be the fact that that's where most of the whiskey comes from, Speyside, which is why we are regularly travelling back there.
Pretty decent whiskey too. But today we're off to the Shaggy Mountain.
Indeed, Benromach.
Benromach, founded in 1898. One of the the smallest distillery in Speyside.
That's what that's the information I've got access to my fingerprints. The smallest with a workforce, a staff management, a team of DOS.
I believe it takes 2 to run. I think they might have about 6 people all up. It's a family, the Urquhart family, and there might be about 6 of them all up. But it takes 2 people to, well, actually 1 person can run the show. But usually they've got 2 distillers employed.
Nice.
I believe.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The place is cool as its output is only about anywhere from 200,000 to 500,000 litres per year, which is pretty damn tiny.
That's boutique.
That is boutique as.
Muchos boutique.
Yeah, situated on the north side of Forres in Morayshire and is fed with spring water from the Chapelton Springs in the Romic Hills beside Forres. It's actually a bit of a local landmark. It's got a big, tall red brick chimney, and pilots actually use that for landing at the nearby RAF Kinloss.
Excellent.
Nice. And also a little bit of it's got architectural cred.
It does. It was designed by the same the architect that did a bunch of other Speyside distilleries.
Sure did. Responsible for Aberlour.
Balblair and Dufftown on my list.
Yeah, Mr. Charles Doig.
Architecture royalty in Speyside.
Oh yeah. Yeah, easy what?
But what makes them so special? That the Benromach, apart from being so small.
Many things.
Yeah, there really is a lot of things.
Many things. This was a bit of a treat actually. Having known very, very little about the place.
Same.
Much like Benromach, this was a bit of a treat.
So I hadn't come across them nor heard of them until you brought them to my attention.
Okay.
And but the way that they've stripped everything back, and they go right back to the traditional methods. There's no computers. There's no pressure gauges.
Unreal.
Like that fucking blew my mind. Like,
that is amazing. Everything's done by there's a window on the still.
Yeah.
But everything's done by hand. It's incredible. They can tell by the
from the noise and the
eruptions and the sounds and the smells.
That's fucking ridiculous.
The visuals of how the distillation process is sort of how would you say like violent? What do you call it when the sea's
turbulent?
Turbulent, exactly. That's exactly what I'm looking for. The turbulence basically in the still window.
Like that's fucking.
And then they know that ease it on or ease it off by a valve.
That's art.
Yeah.
That's mastery, because every other distillery, and I mean, it's not as if the joint's super old. I mean, it founded in 1898, so it's been around for a while, but it's been...
Well, the building itself has...
Exactly, but it was refitted and completely renovated in 1997, I think. So...
Totally.
But they deliberately...
They used the shell and they've totally built a new distillery inside.
But even though they completely redid the inside, they deliberately made it so that it was all by hand. So no, as I said, no computers, no pressure gauges.
Well,
everything else is computerized.
I believe the point was to be able to be operated by a single person.
Which you would assume that you'd need a bunch of computers and shit like that to do, or I would assume, because I know very little about how a distillery
once upon a time it wasn't like that.
100% it wasn't, but I don't reckon one person ran a distillery once upon a time either, did they? I mean, maybe a real small one.
Oh, they would. Okay, I would say they ran the stills, not the whole distillery.
Yeah. Okay. You make a good point. But I like the fact that they've deliberately kept output small. They've deliberately done things the old-fashioned way that takes longer. It probably costs more, but it's what they see as being the culmination of the old school method of making Speyside whiskey. That's fucking cool. I'm down with that.
Yeah, for real. A lot of heart and soul.
I like the concept of boutique whiskey, but I don't like paying for it. But fucking expensive shit. But I like the concept of it. I like people that do it slightly different. We've featured quite a few distilleries so far on the podcast that do it slightly differently, and this was nicely kept in mind. And this is whiskey that I've not tried any of these whiskies before.
I don't believe I own of the organic, but I didn't open it for basically because it is what it is, and I only have one of them. And I'm not sure how early on it is in the bottling. I haven't checked out my bottle number or anything. Don't think I've even opened it.
There you go. So this is
like open the box. The bottle's definitely not open. Yeah.
So all three of these are first times for us. So join us on our journey, our first experience at Benromach. We've got plenty of information to impart for you, and we're going to taste these delicious looking whiskies.
So what do we got in order?
Well, we're going to start off with the 10-year-old.
The flagship.
And then we're going to move on to the organic. I believe they say this was one of the first organics, and I believe that it probably is one of the first organic whiskies, certified organic. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then we're going to move on to their peat smoke expression,
which I'm we are both quietly looking quite forward to.
Big fans of the peat, as anyone that's heard this before probably is aware of. But we're also fans of Speyside, and one of the things that makes this an attractive Speyside from where I stand is the fact that traditionally, in the old days, before modern malting methods, all Speysides and most whiskies had a touch of peat to them.
Yeah.
Because it was it was wood or coal fired, fires with a bit of peat in them to do the malting.
Bolster.
And then obviously we had gas, come in, and now most of it's done, via gas these days, except for your Islas and your peated expressions from other places. But these guys still, they wanted to express an old time Speyside that had a real nice balance with a touch of smoke in it. That's in my opinion, it's what most whiskies are missing when they don't have a touch of peat. Is a touch of peat. Now they don't have to be Isla. They don't have to fucking smack you in the face with their peat cock. But I think for me, it's the peat that makes Scotch whiskey Scotch whiskey.
Exactly. So if I wanted something different, then I'd drink Irish.
Exactly, or Japanese. There's don't get me wrong. There's wonderful things about whiskies that are unpeated, and I enjoy a lot of unpeated whiskies. But I always think that an unpeated whiskey would just be that tiny bit, or maybe much.
If you could just drop peat.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of a drop of water, just a drop of peat. Drop or two. Yeah. But so this is what this promises. As I said, I haven't tasted it yet, but it's what they promise.
Well, they say apparently the 10-year-old's peated, a bit higher than most other Speysiders at around 8 to 12 parts per million. Whereas I think, to put that in context, an Ardbeg 10-year-old is 52 or 55.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
Which makes this thing.
Yeah. What did you say this was at?
Well, according to their website, it's 67 ppm.
That's going to be huge.
Off the chain. So I'm looking forward to that. But give us a bit of their history, Rickus, before we have our first dram.
Let's timeline it up. So as we said, started back in 1898 by F.W. That's Foxtrot Whiskey Brickman, who was a spirit broker from Leith. Do you remember the Proclaimers? Of course you do.
Yeah.
Did you ever listen to the
500 Miles?
Yeah. The full album was called Sunshine on Leith?
No.
Okay. And that was quite an emotional track, Sunshine on Leith. I might go back and listen to it and probably be sorely mistaken.
Yeah. Well, that's fair.
And besides Brickman, his mate, Duncan McCallum, who was a Campbelltowner from Glennevis Distillery. And they were given land by a local whiskey connoisseur named Alexander Edward.
Fuck, that's not bad. Here, I have some land.
But he was He'd earned his fortune through Craigalackie and Altmore.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was he'd already had some.
Yeah, and basically got him to build a distillery to make whiskey to his taste.
Yeah, good work.
Yeah, Baron.
Fuck, wouldn't it be nice to just no.
You there?
All of these they're nice whiskies, but fuck it, build me a brand new distillery, and make it the exact way that I want it.
And make it snappy.
Today.
Jeeves. Jenkins.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Oh, yeah, how the other half live. So in 1900, 2 years later, went into production, but it closed pretty much immediately because Brickman went bankrupt.
Wow. Good on him.
I had a crack. But McCallum picked up the reins, and in 1907 he reopened the place as Forest Distillery.
Good on
to
him.
the town. And he declares bankruptcy 2 years later.
Did he even distill anything?
I don't even know.
So it's taking me a couple of years, but I've got my head around the joint. I'm ready to start distilling. Fuck.
Bought a shitload of ingredients. Oh.
I've got everything ready to go. Oh.
Yeah.
That'd be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So I bet someone picked it up cheap.
Yeah, well, it was acquired in 1911 by Harvey McNair and Co. They distilled. Oh, it says they continued at distilling, so I'm sure.
Okay, so there was some distilling
They must have got a little bit.
Yeah,
out.
you'd think so.
A couple of barrels, maybe. They put that copper to work.
Fucking oath.
So where was I at? Sorry. They continued distilling until the onset of the First World War, so it closed between 1914 and 1918.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there wasn't a lot of barley around. I think a lot of distilleries fell
rations.
silent during that period.
Yeah.
Unless they had
sounded like
special
hard times.
dispensation.
Mm.
How would you get this special dispensation? I suppose if you were producing whiskey for the army, but I don't think...
If you were Lefroy, maybe,
Yeah,
because Charlie.
because
Oh,
Charlie.
because... Oh, actually, no, this
no,
is...
that would
sorry,
have been...
what am I
why-
talking
yeah,
about?
our timelines are fucked up there.
Wrong, yeah.
But, yeah, if you were
Unless you-
distilling for the
unless
royals...
you had a royal warrant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. That'd be the only thing I could think of.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other
I
examples.
wouldn't... Or I imagine distillery wars. You'd be setting fire to barley fields. You'd be dirty.
Oh,
You'd be dirty.
yeah,
It'd be out war.
that'd be uncool.
If you get like the Longmorn Benromach.
Yeah. Oh, dear. What happened next?
After the war, Benromach was acquired by Benromach Distillery Limited and was run by the new private company until 1925. Actually, I have a conflicting fact there. Just going to ignore that. Then I'm not sure what happened between 25 and 31.
Stuff happened.
Stuff happened.
Or it didn't happen.
Probably not much.
Yeah.
No, in this place. 'Cause
Something
it
may have
kind
happened.
of took a while for
Stuff
it
may not
to
have.
get into gear, and there's still many a chance for history to repeat itself. It's only early days, really,
True.
for the Urquharts. But in 31, it definitely fell silent for 6 years due to the slump that hit the whiskey industry following the First World War.
Yep.
A bit of a late hangover, but it was effective. And prohibition
Yep.
in the US kind of shot a lot of people in the foot. Enter Joseph Hobbs, the Whiskey Baron.
The Whiskey Baron. Now, isn't that a wonderful title?
He reopened Benromach. Joseph Hobbs was formerly of Ben Nevis Distillery, and him and his mate Hatim Atari. He was a financier from London, and another bloke by the name of Alexander Tolmie. They buy the distillery on behalf of Trainer McIntyre, who was part of Associated Scottish Distillers Limited,
ASD?
ASD.
Nice.
Old mate Joe. Joe accomplished some shit. Joe, prohibition. What's that? Just makes it slightly harder to export my whiskey.
So he was a man that got shit done.
Yeah, he had a good time. You could almost say that he was the great Gatsby of the Scotch whiskey world.
Fuck yeah.
Everyone had a bit of a story about him, but he's a bit of a mysterious character. So the sketchy details we have, he was born in Hampshire, 1891, and he emigrated to British Columbia. But during the First World War, he went back to the UK.
I was going to say, so he went to Canada.
Yep, went to Canada. They him and his family farmed. They got like 480 acres, which would be lovely in BC. God, that's a nice area.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, during the First World War, he went back to the UK and served in the Navy before becoming an airman. After the war, he joined the Canadian Naval Reserve. I guess he was institutionalised to some degree.
So what, Navy, then Air Force,
Then
back
Canadian
to then
Navy.
Canadian Navy. I wonder what the Canadian Navy does. Not much.
Just apologise to the US.
Just,
sorry, we in your waters here?
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
They're just so conflict averse people.
Yeah. Apparently there was a US-Canadian war. Canadians actually won, and that's why you don't hear about it. Canadians don't care, and the US are all...
Oh, they'd be butthurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gold. It's good to know.
Just Joe's involvement in the shipment of Scotch and other spirits during the Prohibition era is struggling for words today. He's quite no, he made a large impact
Excellent.
on California during Prohibition.
So he got a bunch of whiskey over there.
Oh yeah, he had a great operation. You could almost say he was the Al Capone.
I was going to say, so he must have had mob contacts, or is that? So the mob was
probably.
like New York. That was like the eastern.
Well, he's the
side?
supplier to the mob, probably. Yeah, that was.
So
I believe Capone was all New York and stuff.
Yeah. So who would have been running the western side?
Oh, you got no idea, but this guy would have been. If
yeah.
he wasn't, to a degree, if it wasn't just a free for all,
Yeah.
then this guy would have been the mob's contact, basically.
Fuck yeah.
Because he was also the president of a shipping company, and he owned the cargo ship, the Lilyhorn. That's a sleek steam yacht as well, named Stadacona, and a fleet of smaller vessels such as the Naden and the Hurrion.
So he had plenty of opportunity.
Oh yeah, which they were all involved in running booze into California during
Sick.
Prohibition. The ships were often given unpronounceable names. That's so good.
What does that mean?
Unpronounceable names.
Ah.
Check Kaya Kuzmet, Kuyakuzmt, just to confuse the US authorities.
Oh, that's genius.
And they were involved in the transport of hundreds of thousands of cases of whiskey and other contraband to the US during the 1920s. They were shipped not only from Canada and Mexico, but Jeffrey Cousins, author of the official history of William Teacher and Sons, he recounts how during the 20s the Scottish firm sent tens of thousands of cases of Teacher's Highland Cream in quart bottles to Antwerp, where they were loaded onto the Lilyhorn and then shipped via the Panama Canal to the west coast of the USA.
Nice.
Yeah, dude got shit done.
So that basically Bailey's he shipped. Am I hearing that right?
No.
Teacher's Cream?
No, Teacher's Highland Cream. I think that's a blend. I've had it before.
Okay.
It's not a liqueur.
Because they make Bailey's out of whiskey.
Yeah. No, it's called it is called Highland Cream, and it is a really sugary, lots of top end. It does taste like but it's a blend. And the whiskey from the Lilyhorn was transferred to speedboats and other small vessels and smuggled ashore for distribution to local bootleggers, which is pretty much the standard.
Good on 'em.
Operandi. Yeah, fun times. Fun times for Joe Hobbs.
You got some shit done.
Mm.
So it sounds like we have the re opening at Benromach.
Where were we? So DCL, they acquired Trainer McIntyre in 1953, and control of Benromach passes to Scottish malt distillers SMD, Sex, Money and Drugs. They refurbished the facility and they abolished the floor multi. In 1966, completely rebuilt. In 1974, they installed 2 stills, but in 1983, we had the re closing.
Oh, I thought you were stuck on a loop there.
Almost. Closed by the United Distillers, who became Diageo. And they were just one of a large number of distilleries that closed as a result of an industry-wide stock surplus. That's what I was thinking about the Benromach. How there was just production was outdoing consumption, and I think it took 35 years, but still things were going to grind to a halt.
I don't think you could produce too much whiskey these days.
Maybe not.
It might become a little bit cheaper, but I don't think. No, I couldn't see a collapse. I think you'd have to have a global economic collapse. And even then, we had one of those in 2008. It didn't seem to affect the whiskey industry that badly. Oh, well, we haven't got... Maybe we just haven't come across a case of it yet. But I couldn't see the global whiskey industry being... Yeah, it's just... It's... I don't know.
Think because going back to
it just seems so strong.
Today it wouldn't collapse. But I think, how the phylloxera crushed all the grapes in France.
I suppose if you had a massive barley fucking
and then
shortage.
Also, there'd be some sort of disease, and who knows? Like, I seriously think disease, like viruses and disease, will just inherit the earth. Bacteria. Yeah, well,
that's that. Yeah, you're probably right. Anyway,
but that's a morbid tale for another day, for a different sort of podcast altogether. So 83 was closed by Diageo. And it was just one of many distilleries, unfortunately, that suffered. And the production equipment was basically dismantled and cannibalized for parts for Diageo's other operations. So it sat dormant for 10 years and empty, gathering dust, until 1993. Gordon MacPhail took the reins, but it takes him about 5 years of trials before
Gordon MacPhail, is that the same Gordon from Gordon's Scotch?
I'm not sure.
Sorry, Gordon's Gin?
I don't know. I didn't look into that. Didn't think to. I know them as independent bottlers.
Yeah.
In 1997, renovation work commences. 1998, 2 new stills are put in without computerization or gauges.
That's cool.
And on October the 15th, the day after my mother's birthday.
Nice.
I should remember that. I'll buy her a bottle of Benromach. 1998, the official opening of the Benromach distillery by His Royal Highness, the Duke of Rothesay, also known as the Prince of Wales, to a lesser extent, Charles of Windsor. Is it Charles Windsor? Is it Charles Windsor? What's his last name? It's Elizabeth Windsor. Should be Charles Windsor, yeah.
I've just always called him Prince Charlie.
Yeah. Prince Chuck. Anyway, Chuck opened it October 15th, 1998.
Good on him.
In 1999, the Visitor Centre opens, and that was formerly the old Dryer House. And in 2004, the bottling of new malt commences. And that brings us to this point in time, 2009.
Well, because it is 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So...
that was the first year it was released. So this is the 10th anniversary of the... That's a bottle from 2018. But this last year would have been the 10th anniversary.
There you go.
Of the 10-year-old. Let's get into it.
I think we should. While I do love a bit of history, but I fucking love the whiskey a lot more.
That's good. We blazed through it.
Yep. Oh yeah,
That's very creamy and fruity.
It's a nice robe on it. It's not over the top.
Yeah, it's a little thin compared to the Longmorn of Christmas.
Very true.
Nothing's going to hold up to that, I think. A little thin. But geez, it's nice and...
It's subtle on the nose, isn't it? It's not overpowering. There's a touch of sherry there.
Mm-hmm. Very fruity, very light and fruity.
Yeah, but it's kind of like nutty and chocolatey at the same time, but only a...
I get the chocolate, not so much the nuts. And then, The more you get into it, the more the peat spoke.
Yeah, there is a touch of peat there. There
lying
really
underneath
is.
it. About a third of the way up.
I expected a little more wood. It is there, but it's very subtle.
I'm sipping. This is gorgeous. This smells great.
There's another fruit in there as well. I can't put my nose on it though. Might be a citrus fruit or something.
That is very complex. There is a lot going on there. But I'm left with the deep sherry tones and fruits on the finish. A little bit of spice to the middle of the tongue.
Yeah, there is a little spice. The sherry notes are there. They're not overpowering. First sip, you're right, complex. A fair bit going on. Nothing. It's nothing predominant. It seems quite well balanced, but
reasonably well. Yeah, the white pepper still.
So
I think
the pepper's dominant for me on the first sip.
It seems to be sticking around.
Yep. The pepper. Pardon me. The pepper's dominant, but there is a little
it's very fruity. It's almost like stewed forest fruits in a way, like stewed brambles, stewed like blackberries and
yeah,
plums
you're right.
and
There
raisins.
is some.
There's something deep. It's marries with the sherry. Nice little smoky notes though, and quite smooth.
Yeah, there is just a touch of peat. It is nice and smooth. It's fairly well balanced. I think there might be, like the malt itself is there. It's just under the spice.
Yeah, it takes a while for it to cut through. It's a little bit obscured.
Yeah, third sip. I think there's. Oh, it's there. It might be a touch of something like a raspberry or a blackberry that's woven into that malt, and a little bit of toffee from the sherry, but that's the sherry that's predominant with the pepper. So it's it's well balanced. The finish on it's nice. It's pretty smooth.
Yeah. Not a very long finish.
No, doesn't last very long, but it's a nice. I wouldn't quite say creamy, but it's. I don't mind it. I really enjoy that touch of peat in it.
It's beautiful for a Speyside. It does. It's and it is very.
It's got a depth that most Speysides don't have because of that lack of peat. But in saying that, I wouldn't say it's a typical Speyside.
No, it's way more complex than most Speysides.
It's also a little spicier than your typical Speyside.
It's also much fruitier than
Yeah, it is. There's kind of a fruit and spice, almost like I was going to say spice cake, but I don't think I've ever had a spice
Christmas
cake.
fruit mince pies or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not as sweet as that, but there is those top notes. But the spice is definitely in there. So that's quite a nice dram. I don't mind that at all.
No. I think that's only going to get better with a little bit more oxidation.
Yeah, I think so, and possibly a drop.
Might reduce the spiciness.
Yep. It might open it up a little bit and let the malt come through a little bit more. And
that's the only thing for mine letting it down.
Yep.
I think is that.
Yeah, it's just the spice is just a little too predominant. It's almost like I think this gets aged in first fill, American casks.
Okay.
So that might be
find
what's.
that.
I think I've got it in here somewhere. Yeah, so they've got. So they use a range of casks, but they've got that they go to obsessive lengths to ensure they stubbornly insist on using only the highest quality first fill casks that come from a variety of sources.
Okay, so they're basically refills.
Yep. So
and
then
that'd be second use.
they also have new oak casks made to their exact specifications of thickness of stave and level of charring.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So yeah, which is it's fantastic. So I'm assuming that because it's first fill and maybe new casks is why they're getting some of that spice is just a little predominant. And I think when you're a small distillery that's producing small amounts, you probably want to get a 10-year-old out so that you're making some money before you can start bringing out a 12 or a 15. I think that would be amazing as a 15. The
15s, the 15s much has got quite a few accolades actually.
Yeah, I'll bet it does.
Yeah,
I'll bet it
yeah,
does.
their 15 sounds really, really good. Actually got gold at the 2018 Los Angeles International Spirits Competition in the single malt 11 to 20-year-old category.
Okay, nice. Well, I think the 10-year-old got gold at the was it the World Whisky Awards?
Yeah, 2014 and 2018.
Yeah.
In the best
Speyside under 12.
Under 12,
Yep.
yeah. Which is a little bit of a niche. They're whittling
Yeah.
it back a little bit,
Yeah.
but still.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a region, it deserves it, I guess. Which I think Tasmania, or as far as Australia goes, I think Tasmania almost deserves its own designation as a region, as opposed to.
well, under the rules of Scotland, it would.
It would.
I don't think we've got enough of. I think we're still in the very early days.
Yeah.
Here in
growing.
Australia, and I think we've got a huge future ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unfortunate that a lot of our distilleries haven't quite been around long enough to have been producing some of those beautiful 18 years.
If they haven't been burnt to the ground in the past 6 months.
That's the other thing as well. Fires have been very bad here.
That's what I've read about. They've been. New South Wales has been on fire for over half a year.
Yeah, pretty much. I got a cousin that's a fiery, and bless him, he's just exhausted. They've just they're just absolutely exhausted. They've been doing this since August. It's terrible. But
the only good thing about it is sometimes I'll get to the office up in the hills and open up the door, and because the recirculation, the aircon's been on, it just smells like an Isla in the office. This is actually quite pleasant. A lot of people don't like this. Like, drink it in, people.
Oh,
it smells
fantastic.
amazing. It's a nice peat level with a hint of possum.
Yeah, well, if you like barbecue possum, you'll be sweet.
Yeah, it's been a hard time.
Well,
yeah, not too much more to say about the 10. I don't think.
I don't think so.
Onto the organic.
I think we should.
Mm-hmm. Well, doesn't this sound interesting? This one of the world's first organics. This really captured my imagination when I first found out about this.
Me too. In fact, it made me go down a little bit of an organic rabbit hole.
Really?
To kind of work out what it actually takes to get your whiskey certified.
And did you look up any other? I never even thought of it until just now. Any other organic whiskies?
I did.
There?
I found a few.
Yeah.
I found a few other organic whiskies, but I cannot completely understand why there isn't many of them. because it's quite like it's labour. Well, not labour, but there's a few hoops to jump through. I mean, obviously, you've got your barley needs to be organic, and I mean just that alone, that's a bunch of
there's many facets to that.
Yep, there is. I mean, I've got some of them written down here just to go through.
Well, the water that goes into the barley has to be.
Yeah, just to give you an idea of what some of the required specifications, to get your just your barley, just the barley, certified as organic. Your entire farm or anywhere that's going to have or store your barley has to have a complete avoidance of synthetic chemical inputs, so like fertilizer, pesticides, antibiotics, food additives, irradiation, or the use of sewage sludge. Right. So basically, I mean, you will find like some. That doesn't mean it's necessarily pesticide free, because some pesticides are natural and allowed, so they'll get you through.
What about? I wonder if say using manure from a cow that wasn't fed organic food.
No,
as a fertilizer.
No, and that's antibiotics, because all cattle and stuff are fed antibiotics. So you can't. So you can.
So what do you got? But basically, free range chicken manure to choose from.
Yeah, I suppose, but you'd have to get that signed off. Like it'd have to come from a certified.
I'm wondering what level it goes to, how many levels back. So I'm sure it's not like a second tier thing where they'd probably test your soil to see if any of that was in there.
Well, yeah, true, but you would have to make sure that you were sourcing organic fertilizer. Because otherwise you'd fail the certification process. So I mean, obviously there's a complete avoidance of genetically modified seed. So it's all got to be
heirlooms, isn't it?
Heirloom. That's right. Yeah, heirloom seed for the barley. The farmland has to have been free from prohibited chemical inputs for a number of years, often 3 or more. So I think it's a minimum of 3 for like the US, the EU, Canada.
Okay.
Obviously, this is.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. Fuck this. Too hard.
So you got to keep detailed written production and sales records. So there has to be an audit trail. You got to maintain strict physical separation of organic products from non-certified organic products. So you can't even store them in the same building. So you have to have a completely different building. Ongoing periodic site inspections, including spot inspections.
Who's setting up these hoops?
So in some countries, the certification is overseen by the government, and commercial use of the term organic is legally restricted. So you've got, as I said, the US, EU, Canada, Japan all have comprehensive organic legislation. So they're the kind of loops that all of those countries have to run through.
All right.
Now
So it's law, basically.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely. You can't. If you say it's a little ridiculous, but if you say that your product is organic without abiding by all those things, they can sue you.
Unreal.
Yeah, it's crazy. It changes country to country, but the US, EU, Canada, Japan, theirs is all very similar. So something that's organic in their country would be considered organic in ours, and I think we're very close with that as well. We might be.
I'd assume so. We're generally pretty tight with that. Like, look how fucking hard it is to get in the country with dirty shoes.
Well, that's exactly. Yeah. There is an international certification body called the International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movements, and they're working on harmonising everything to make it international, so that it's the same set of hoops for everyone to get through. Because I mean, at the end of the day, and it also costs.
So I'm sure it does. They're not doing this for the love of it.
Yeah. So
councils, that's what people's bureaucracy. Councils get set up to basically charge you a fee. Like I look at halal certification. Yep. That is
exactly right.
I understand like this. I don't understand halal very well, but I think this probably approaches the same. Farcical is the wrong word for it, but just exorbitant, semi-ridiculous levels.
Well,
and somebody gets money for it by holding you to a standard.
And that's why InFoam, which is the aggregate first letters of the international blah 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 that I just mentioned. That's why they're trying to get everything harmonised and everything like that, because so the process that I went through just then is the government legislation. There's also third party, so you can be certified by an internationally recognised third party, mob, where it's basically the same. Same stuff. Compliance, documentation, planning, inspection.
What, without the price tag?
No, that's still. In fact, I think you probably pay. You might even pay more because it's third party.
What if they're all competing bodies, basically trying to vie for the top council spot?
I think that's why Infom are trying to make it all, because you're right. There would be. I mean, it'd be a smart, easy money kind of thing to do. I mean, if you were an entrepreneur,
brand new business idea. Yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur, you just went, okay, beauty. So we know the hoops you need to go through. You negotiate a lower fee with the government, and then say, well, we'll go around and certify. We'll give you this, and then you just go and charge slightly more than what the government does, but you say that's we can do it in a much shorter period of time, because you know how slowly the government moves. Dear God.
I got a government job, and it took me it was almost 12 months from application till the first interview, I think.
Yeah. It
was a while ago, but yeah,
the government moves very slowly. But I mean, it can cost up to $2,000 a year just for your yearly inspection and your license. And then, I mean, look, you probably make that money back if you're smart.
You'd want to,
and you market it.
You're not doing it for the fun of it.
Well, but that's it. I mean, you should be able to sell, but I mean, it also costs you more, And the worst part is you can pay, and I don't know.
Pay and not be certified.
Exactly, because you can pay your fee, and your neighbour next door, air crops.
Has some fucking Monsanto seed.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, if there's a windy day, the spray gets pushed over to your thing. You don't get certified for that year. So,
horseshit.
Anyway, so these guys have to go, and that's just the barley. You can't call it
for
whiskey
real. We
organic.
haven't even gotten to the
the
bloody water or the yeast yet.
That's simply the to get your barley organic. But you can't just have organic barley to make organic whiskey.
Do you have to have organic peat?
You've got to have organic casks, right?
Jesus.
So, which means this is great. The casks must also be organic. They need to be scraped and charred deep enough so that the spirit doesn't come into contact with any non-organic material. So the easiest way to make sure of this is to use virgin oak. So this whiskey would have been made from organic barley. That the barley went through all those certification processes then.
Sweet.
Then they've got American oak that's certified organic fucking American oak. So that's also been signed off on. But they've then got to make it, have it coopered to the point, and then scraped and charred so that it stays legit organic. And
this is a task.
And that's the second part of the process. The third part, and this is the most difficult part, is the cleansing of the distillery itself. Because to be certified as an organic whiskey, the spirit can't be created in the stills if a non-organic run of spirits pass through them. So the only way you can really do that is to make your organic spirit directly after the distillery is being cleaned during its maintenance period. So, once a year, twice a year around
unless
Christmas.
You have a dedicated setup.
Unless you've got a dedicated setup, in which case you can only ever run organic spirit through it. You can't even... So it has been completely cleaned if it's had non-organic spirit run through it.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, you wonder why there aren't that many fucking organic whiskies out there.
I guess you probably don't have the information there of when all this legislation was passed.
No, I don't.
How long it's been like that for?
I didn't quite go.
Organic's only really been a new fad for the past 6, 7, 8 years, maybe.
Look, to be honest, I can say that I found a 15-year-old organic whiskey, which must have started distilling. I mean, it came out a year or two ago, so it must have started distilling the organic spirit to age for 15 years in 2003.
Okay.
So, but I don't know when the certification started. I didn't go that deep down the rabbit hole.
That whole fucking term, organic, it's always shit me. Like, what is it, organic as opposed to what, synthetic? It does not make sense.
It's not. It's probably not the right word for the label.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in Germany it has the label, anything that's organic is called bio, which I prefer. I like that.
Okay. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
But to that point, a lot of places, a lot of farm-to-farm places in America that can't afford or don't want to pay for the certification fees because they're not making money out. They're selling direct farm-to-farm or something like that, or they're supplying to a larger supplier. So they use words like natural or I think wholesome, so authentic. So there's a small body, or there's a body in the US that's it's a non-profit organization that is giving this certification, natural certification to small producers like that.
That's pretty interesting.
That are USDA, so US Department of Agriculture, organic compliant without being organic certified. So they still follow those guidelines, but they're not paying for the certification, so they're getting a different certification.
Okay, yeah. Right.
But yeah, so it's a lot of effort to go to.
Yeah, all this organic. You know what our grandparents called it?
Food.
Fucking food.
Yeah, they did. But a big part of it is because you've got monster companies like Bayer and Monsanto.
Yep.
And because they have, a lot of the shit that they've made, very, very fucking questionable, man. You don't have to wear a tinfoil fucking hat to know that if you spray Roundup on your crops, even though it's going to, produce that last, ditch, it's like, stabbing your plants when you were younger to make your buds bigger.
Stress is stress is good for a plant in certain
happy
ways.
Days. But spraying fucking Roundup on wheat is not going to be good for the people eating the wheat, right? So I can understand why, maybe, it's a little bit too far. There's a lot of people only eat organic, and look, I'm not going to judge them. They're spending a lot more money on food, but I think it is important to have access to food that hasn't been in contact with some of the shit that these companies make. Because at the end of the day,
more people should be growing shit in their own backyards.
100%.
I don't know. That's how I grew up. That's how I still roll.
Yeah, it's true. True. I had some of your strawberries today.
That produce. This has got some nice. I'm getting some nice pear.
Creamy.
Yeah, I'm getting some nice pear actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, stewed pear.
I expected, because it's gone into virgin oak, I expected massive amounts of spice on the nose.
If you get deep, I've found. Well, you might know my glass is different to yours because old Butterfingers over here happened to drop one of the Glencairns during cleanup.
You poor fucker.
Last episode. And should have pulled his finger. I've had bloody 10 days at least. I've had nearly 2 weeks. I've had 2 weeks to go and get a glass, but no, I've been on holidays and everything. But shout out to Glencairn if you want to hook us up with a glass. Email us at podcast@livingthedram.com.au.
Send us a few. That way, if we break another one, we're not short.
Yeah, and then I don't have to keep using this obscured, beautiful cut crystal one.
Yeah, it's always scary.
Yeah.
So
I don't let my wife touch it. She's prone to smashing shit.
So I think it says on the bottom, my eyes aren't very good. I'm not wearing glasses. Distilled 2010, bottled 2018?
2016.
2016.
Yeah. It'll also be... Yeah, it's stamped on the side 25th of July.
So
2016. So it's a 6-year-old.
But yeah, creamy is how I...
From a distance, I still can't get past the pears.
I think there's some vanilla there, like just a touch. There's some other fruit there as well. There's a banana.
Oh, jeez. So I just sipped because the whole time you were reading, I was nosing.
Oh, that's fair enough.
A wee bit of banana. That Geez, that is not like anything I've tasted before.
All right, I'm going to sip.
It's pretty interesting. A lot of wood, a lot of spice, but not like peppery. Just spice. That's unique.
Yeah, you're right. It's a different kind of spice.
Mm.
And it's predominant on the first sip, that's for sure.
One thing that I can relate it to is if anyone ever had a Henry McWilliams and Sons 10-year-old bought, say, what's the year, 2020, probably pre-2017. It's got a similar start to that.
It is creamy. Like the peppers.
Strange. It's a whole gamut of flavors that it washes through.
It's got a big finish on it. Real long finish. It coats. It's not oily, but it's got a finish like it's oily.
And I feel it coating the roof of my mouth, kind of from back to front.
Yeah, 100%. Like it
has
leaves
that strange. It's like a spicy vegetable, but that isn't a chili. It doesn't last terribly long.
And it becomes a warmth. Mm-hmm. Like the spice turns into a warmth.
Yeah.
And it's not like a white pepper.
With the whole time without being peppery.
Sting at all. Mm-hmm. But there's definite spice there, and I'm assuming that's from the virgin oak, and the organic virgin oak.
I would assume the same thing.
That's because obviously it hasn't had anything else in there that's taken that it's not a sting though, but taken the spice out of it. I mean, you're always going to get a much spicier whiskey from virgin oak.
I wonder if the 6 years was a threshold. Like shit, we can't make money on this if it goes older than 6.
Well, you'd want to be making money off, because they started distilling it in 2006, didn't they? I think the organic they started to distill in 2006. Right. So
might have to check the large bottle that I've got when we're done here.
Yep.
Have a squeeze, because I believe that was one of the first. I have had it for a few years. Just sitting up on the shelf as part of the collection. But we should post a picture of your collection to the Instagram, I reckon.
Yeah, okay. We can do that. But
I need to rent some shelves so we can do more.
We can build shelves. We're handy.
Yeah.
But I'd say that it's the malt. The malt is there on the tongue. The malt, the spice from the virgin oak, and maybe just like a tiny hint of vanilla toffee maybe, but banana on the nose, not on the palate.
It's funny you said that. You have the power suggestion. I just did taste a little bit of banana in the sugars of it. A wee bit banana-ish.
Yeah, maybe on the back of the tongue.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's part of the finish. But it's after that spice settles.
Yeah, it is quite a bit of bite to it.
That's nice.
That's growing on me, actually.
I think I prefer this over the 10-year-old so
really?
far.
Might step back. I was a little bit worried about this one. I thought it was going to be a bit brutal.
I thought it was a
bit unrefined.
I really expected, I don't.
Ooh.
Anything that I've tried that's been out of virgin oak before has really punched me in the tongue with spice.
Yep.
And it's just...
It like slaps you all around the inside of your mouth.
And it's just been really overpowering. I mean, the... what was it? The French one.
Amérique.
Yeah.
The first.
The Amérique first. Yeah. The first Amérique that we got.
Oh. Yeah, that was bitey.
That was so...
It was like eating those little black ants.
Yeah, like I actually didn't like it.
No, that's one of the few whiskies that I've really... That and Talisker 10-year-old, they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, like I just didn't... I didn't like that first one, but so I expected... I didn't expect much from the organic. at all.
Not at all. It's quite pleasant, but Jesus Christ, it puts the 10-year-old in context, and that becomes fucking awesome.
Wow.
You're saying you thought you liked it better? That's really good now, hey?
Oh, the balance on that and the peat.
Yeah.
The spice is much, it's put into perspective from the spice
and you can...
And it's had a bit of time to sit there and oxygenate as well. But yeah, that's really... A 10-year-old. When I first
That's
tried...
pretty nice.
When I first put the 10-year-old down, I said that wasn't bad. I don't mind it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I like it.
Yeah.
That's really nice. So I like both of those so far.
Yeah.
That's...
It's not up there with, say... It's by no means Glen Scotia 15, and it's...
No, but it's a Speyside.
Yeah. It's by no means the Loch Lomond even, but it's not far. It's nipping the heels.
Oh, look, I don't know. I think the peat kind of probably gives it a slight edge on the Loch Lomond.
Okay.
But then again, the Loch Lomond had the benefit of an extra couple of years in wood. So
that's what's doing it for me.
I think, there's a payoff there. As I said, I'd love to try the 15-year-old. I think the 15-year-old would be exceptional. Would you like to hear?
Yeah, other
would you
organics.
like to hear a couple of other organic?
I'm very
whiskies?
interested. I asked the question before.
So Highland Harvest do a blended malt whiskey and a single malt whiskey and
blended
a
organic.
Sauternes.
Yeah. I wonder if any of this makes it.
It's a selected blend from just 7 casks of organic single malt.
So I'm wondering if any of this makes it in.
Entirely possible. Their Highland Harvest single malt whiskey is the purest of the pure. This is their marketing speak. The purest of the pure, unchilled. Sorry.
Do they distill that themselves? Highland Harvest a distillery, or are they
no,
independent bottler?
I think they're an independent bottler, because something else that I read that I may actually have here as well. Pardon me. So there's a mention here in a bit that I found that Lefroy bottled one for the Highgrove estate.
Oh, wow.
For the Highgrove estate.
Cool.
So, I think with Highgrove isn't Highland, but it's entirely possible that these guys are like Highgrove and go to distillers.
Sure. But isn't Highgrove that's Prince Charles's, that's the Highgrove estate, that's where Prince Charles lives.
There you go. So they did. So Lefroy apparently did an organic one for Highgrove estate.
Okay, nice.
But that was the only mention of it that I could find, and I couldn't find it available for purchase or anything like that. But I'm
sure most of the stuff from Highgrove, if you remember from the Lefroy episode, they had the 15 there because apparently that was Charles's favourite.
Yep.
Like, it's only available, and it's relabeled Highgrove, but it is Lefroy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and that's the only place you can get it from. They don't sell it online. You have to go to Highgrove estate to get it. So, but yeah, for the blended is a selected blend from just 7 casks of organic single malt. Yep.
Is their terms. The Harvest Highland single malt whiskey, the purest of the pure, unchill filtered. These are in numbered, bottled with the cask numbers too. And the award-winning Highland Harvest Sauternes cask finished malt whiskey. So beautiful single malt whiskey aged in Sauternes barrels. Best Lowland single malt at the World Whiskey Awards in 2018. So you've then on this list is the Benromach, which we are tasting at the moment.
It's pleasantly surprising.
The Brookladdick Organic, which is an Islay single malt. It's a distillery bottling made exclusively with organic barley grown on the mid-cool farms in Inverness. Brookladdick, the Organic 2010, is a fruity sweet Islay whiskey with an elegant island character. I've also got here I can't pronounce this because I don't speak Welsh, but Mill.
It might be Vil in a way, because the M and the H out of like Neve, the name Neve, is a V, but that's
fair enough. So
I don't even want to try.
Darville then. So they do a single grain whiskey, which was the first organic Welsh whiskey.
Oh, it's Welsh. It's probably okay. You probably pronounce it as a fucking K. I got no idea.
Fair enough.
I think, yeah.
And they've got a Darmill Tarian Edition single malt. This limited edition single cask bottling has been named to represent the shield of its first patron, Chris Phillips. So they're both Welsh. There's a French rye spirit called Volson. Has a white rhino and an old rhino. The white rhino, says here, is the first release from Volson, a collaboration between Domaine des Hautes Glaces. I can't fucking speak French.
Domaine des Hautes Glaces.
Sweet. In the French Alps. And
I probably butchered that as
and
well.
Javier Padovani of Experimental Cocktail Club, made from organic rye, grown, malted and distilled on site. And then the old rhino is... So that must be a no-age statement, the French rye spirit, because it's a French rye whiskey. It's now come of age, it could be called whiskey. It's made at the same place, and it's aged for a year in French oak, followed by 3 more in cognac casks.
Lovely.
Then there's also...
I'd be curious.
There's a Swedish single malt.
That sounds...
Spirit of
sounds
Ven.
exotic.
Yeah, they've got a few ranges. I think they're just different ages, different cask finishes.
Yep.
But a bunch of them are named after stars in a particular constellation that you can see from Sweden. Sweden. And then Koval do a 4-grain whiskey, which is an American single barrel.
I was going to say they're not a Scotch brand that I've ever heard of. They're American.
They are American. They do an American single barrel called 4-grain, and they also do a bourbon, a millet, and a rye. I'm assuming that the 4-grain is the bourbon, the millet, the rye, and
barley as well.
Maybe a barley, yeah.
Like corn, barley, millet, rye.
Yeah.
Are there any other? I don't know if there are other grains you distill from. We'll add that to the show notes when we find it out, as we always do.
The only other one
for the show notes, you can go to livingthedram.com.au.
Exactly. You can also give us a shout out. The only other whiskey I was able to find that was organic is the Deanston 15-year-old. So they started making that back in 2003.
Yeah, that sounds like pioneers, actually.
Yep, and that was it. So that was that. Dr. Kirsty McCallum, Deanston's master blender, was asked why they make organic whiskey, because they do it 2 or 3 times a year, so which means they have to completely clean their distillery. So that's a hell of a lot of work. She said there was 2 reasons. First reason was that the distillery was founded in 1967 by entrepreneurs who decided that creating organic whiskey continued on the entrepreneurial spirit. And the second reason was because it tastes good and has a slightly different character to other whiskies. It's more floral and delicate. So I like both of those reasons.
Floral and delicate.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that. But it's also got a it's got an edge. Like this is. It's quite triangular in shape to get visual, whereas the 10-year-old's a little bit more round.
Yes.
I think this has got some really harsh points to it, but it's somehow kind of they keep each other in check. I expected a lot more sharp edges, considering that A, it's 6 years old, B, it's from virgin oak. I expected a lot more sharpness to it. I almost expected to cut my fucking mouth. But it doesn't. It's there's the hint of that sharpness there, but it's not cutting at all. But you're right. There's the benefit of the 4 years in the peat makes that just quite a bit rounder. Yeah, this doesn't. There's no hint of peat whatsoever, I find, in the organic.
No. Now you'd assume that peat was purely organic, wouldn't you?
Yeah, by definition.
Yeah.
Right. Speaking of which.
This I've been really looking forward to.
As much as your next Tinder date.
I heard an amazing Tinder story the other day. It was superb. I mean, dating apps are absolutely the single most shallow thing that a human can do. But, what are you going to do? Everyone has needs. But I heard an absolute...
I think it's just a step in our evolution.
It is.
Basically.
It is, but it's. I mean, as someone that's spent some small amount of time on them recently, it's. Dear God, it's a different world. But I heard a fantastic story the other day of a young lad, a friend of mine. That
we call him Cecil.
We can call him Cecil.
All right.
So Cecil was swiping away, starts chatting to a chick, and about half hour into the message back and forth, she says, "Well, why don't you come over here and we can, keep chatting in person?"
Ding, 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 ding. What does that mean to you?
Well, if I get that response from a young lady, and I can't say that I have, but if that had happened to me, I would absolutely assume that I'm in.
You would assume that you are getting sex
straight
that
up.
evening.
Straight up. Now, because I would assume, obviously,
that's how
I'm so fucking charming that I've completely won her over. That she's borderline in love with me already, and merely wants to consummate the fictional relationship that exists in her mind at this stage, which is only fair, right? So I'd be in the car, and as Cecil did, bang, in the car.
And how far did Cecil have to travel?
I'm pretty sure it was a fair way.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was maybe half hour,
good 40 drive,
40-minute drive. Yeah. So pulls up, gets out, knocks on the door, and the young lady answers the door. And he was surprised because in the picture he really only saw her face, pretty face. What the picture didn't show was the fact that there was some
bit of hardware attached.
There was some physical, I suppose, disability.
You would call them abnormalities,
yeah,
I would say.
I think so. So there was
features that you and I don't have, nor Cecil.
No. So the young lady was slightly.
She was Zoidberged.
She was slightly disabled, which he obviously was a little bit taken aback by. But,
and he did, and yeah.
Well, she invited him in. I don't think he really knew what to do, so he kind of went in, and Mum and the brother were sitting at the kitchen table. She'd invited him over for a family fucking chat.
Wow.
That not only has the young lady that he had been hoping to have passionate sex with, no doubt, is clearly not up for passionate sex and had not invited him over there for that at all. The younger brother was, from the description, may have had a learning disability, possibly maybe a high functioning
case of cerebral palsy,
yeah,
perhaps. Maybe, I'm not sure whether there's in utero asphyxia or whatever when they get choked. Actually, it's not asphyxia. It'd be something to do with blood not getting to the brain.
So it's got to be, and then the mother's a hardcore Christian.
Oh, this is just getting worse.
This has got to be the single most awkward fucking position you could have ever found yourself
from what I
in.
understand,
from going from hey, I'm getting laid to oh fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would have dealt
Sounds
with
like
that.
a fucking Rob Zombie film.
It's got all the makings of a horror film.
I believe she, what I was getting at before, she had a bit of hardware attached. Am I wrong?
I think she had. She was
in a chair.
I don't know if she was in a chair. Was she in a chair?
From my understanding, from what I heard, I believe so. And that's somebody said what you couldn't tell by the access ramps to the house that something might be going on here.
I must have been in the bar for that part of the story.
Oh.
That's fantastic. So yeah, that's super fucking awkward. So
you're in love with the crab man.
You managed to.
Did you just lay a clutch of eggs?
Go day. So he managed to extricate himself from the situation after, I think, sitting through it and making awkward conversation for maybe half hour, an hour. That's. I mean, I don't look. I mean, I like to think that I probably wouldn't have walked in the door. I think I'm cold enough to have just gone, fucking nah, this is entrapment. This is entrapment.
You would feel a little bit duped, wouldn't you?
You would.
Somewhat.
And,
if she wasn't... Okay.
And look, let's say straight up, she's probably...
I understand how difficult it might be, but take a picture of your fucking hands. Things got timers.
It's yeah.
But you'd think you could tell by the length that it took for her to reply. Like, maybe the dialing wand that was sitting next to her phone.
It's the most awkward position I could imagine myself in. I think he dealt with it far more dignified than I would have.
Me. That's
100%.
I'm so glad that somebody else has taken that bullet, has jumped on that grenade.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't be telling this story if it had been me in it, for fuck's sake.
It'd still be about Cecil.
Well, yeah, exactly. But it got me thinking that dating apps, because dating apps are the worst. And you know what else is the worst? Comment sections. Comment sections on anything
that is
are the worst.
It's a vocal minority, and it's pretty much the worst cross section of the lowest common denominator of people.
Yep. So
and you rabbit hole so hard. You're like, you
do.
read a couple of comments, like all the ones that have been voted up, and then you just keep scrolling, and all of a sudden it just goes to
like you just see the worst in humanity,
really
and you get to see, like, on some things, you get to see the people that started up here at the top. Get caught into these things and just get dragged down to the troll level, man. And they just end up, you watch the flaying, the comment flaying bit by bit as parts of their souls are ripped off until they end up screaming at the troll. And you can just imagine the troll sitting there behind their desk going,
And basically from the seats in the arena, it just looks like monkeys flinging shit at each other.
100%. It's amazing. It's why I usually avoid them. Never ever actually engage in
Try not to buy it, yeah.
But I just refuse to. But, no, that's not true. I don't use social media, so it's really easy to not. But there were times when I did use social media back in the day where, I did get roped in and just go, I've got a ripcord here.
Yeah, that's hard.
I got to run. That's why I don't use Facebook or...
Yeah.
I don't use any social media, Twitter.
Social media is very one-sided for me. Well, that's it. Like one of your mates said, the best experience she ever had on social media was when she unfollowed absolutely everybody.
She's a genius, I think, with that, because that's enough to probably get me back on social media again.
Now I follow about
everyone.
5 people, and I think it's you, but you're not going to fucking write anything.
Well,
not at this stage.
I haven't used it in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and my wife and like maybe 2 or 3 of my best friends, and
so
it's the best thing I have ever done. It's only really funny stuff that I actually want to see, and then it's all the advertising from all like the mountain biking and whiskey and metal that I'm into.
Yeah, okay.
So this is amazing.
Which is actually useful.
That is why I'm on that sort of medium in the first place, is to be informed about that sort of stuff, not to hear about what bloody Katie had for fucking breakfast.
Yeah, or someone using it as fucking therapy.
Dean is with the fucking Centrelink queue.
But it got me thinking, what if there were comment sections on dating profiles? Right, because or a rating, like an Uber fucking rating system,
like Yelp, people your previous dates could.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty damn funny, man.
Like you'd want to.
He wasn't that shit.
Oh, he was making 3 out of 10 in the bedroom.
Tamara from Campbelltown. No, he was he's a 9 out of 10 in the dark.
It would completely change dating, because dating apps. Let's face it.
They're like, would you eat at this restaurant?
Because let's face it, right? Women and men have two completely, as far as Tinder is concerned, just one. We'll just pull one at random. Tinder. From a woman's perspective and a man's perspective, these are completely fucking different apps.
There is a vast
They're completely different
utilized
apps.
in different ways.
Like for dudes, Tinder is, it's not even a dating app, right? Because you've got proper dating sites. Like, Hello Cupid or fucking blah,
well, that's
blah,
if you want to
whatever.
spend some cash, though.
Well, fuck.
I think those
Tinder's,
things have invested in some heavy algorithms.
But you've got to pay for Tinder these days as well, unless you just want to get your fucking however many swipes you get until the next day. And
is there a paid version?
Oh, yeah. There's a paid version for all of these things where you can see the people that have liked you before you've matched with them and fucking...
real?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I find that a little bit of a low blow preying on people's emotions.
Oh, well, of course it is, but,
But we live in a capitalist world.
I ever tell you, a couple of real good mates of mine had the idea for Tinder before Tinder came out. They built an app, but it was a shit app, so it didn't work. But so you with Tinder, dudes look at it and they think this is a what's it called when it knows where you are?
Portal.
It's a
Proximity.
Yeah. So this is a proximity. This is basically a proximity lay app. There are women that are looking to get laid within this proximity of me, and for a lot of guys, we've matched. Send them a photo of my dick. Right now, fair enough. That's the lowest common denominator. But from what I've heard from female friends on Tinder, this is a common occurrence. So guys are clearly looking at Tinder and going, "This is merely a portal for me to have sex within a very short period of time." Whereas from a woman's perspective, Tinder is a legit dating app that they expect to fucking find either their next serious relationship or their next husband on. And genuinely fucking... Like, it's amazing. Now, I fall, somewhere within that category. I'm not using it.
You're not there for marriage.
I'm literally not expecting to get laid from it.
And you enjoy a cashy.
But exactly. So for me, it's really entertaining really entertaining is pretty strong. It's somewhat entertaining, to kind of go through and see the kind of both ends of the spectrum, because there are some chicks that have literally got it written there, just looking for casual fling.
Me want green card.
King friendly. Like I said, there are some chicks that are advertising.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was going the other way.
No, well, some chicks that will be sitting there saying, like I've seen chicks on there. I'm in a poly relationship, just looking for a little bit on the side. In words, like this isn't just. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. At least those people are being honest.
Exactly right. That's why I respect that. But you've also got a lot of people.
I can disrespect it, but I respect it.
But then you've got the other side of the coin, which is people that are literally sitting there looking for marriage. And
that's what I was getting at. I wonder if there's a high degree of foreigners are looking for permanent residency.
And from my small sample size, because I only represent a very small account, then yes, there seems to be some kind of correlation between the two. But I wouldn't say it was overwhelming. But it's the most of it is really pretty girls. I'd say the majority of Tinder, from my experience, have been really pretty girls that are looking for a boyfriend. And I don't understand how really pretty girls can't get a boyfriend in normal life. Like
I've often wondered if you need that veil of, or you need that sort of, that intermediary. You need it's not a veil of anonymity, but it's close. Where that's why people are such motherfuckers on the internet. It can work the other way as well. They have this you have a safety blanket, you have a security net.
Yeah, true.
Or a safety net, a security blanket, where you don't actually have to see them and be rejected by them, and people don't see you being rejected by them. That's a lot of people are very, very fearful of rejection because back in caveman times, rejection meant fucking death.
Ostracized. If you were ostracized from the tribe, you die.
Like death. So that I think.
Oh look, and it's not fun going out on a date and kind of at the end of the date having it fairly clear that you've not fulfilled a very narrow set of prescriptions that the person across from you is sitting, mainly that you're not rich, athletic, fucking gorgeous, and ready to marry them on the spot.
Yeah, you look 10 years older than your last photo.
And that's it. Like, there's a lot of fucking Photoshop and filters.
I could imagine
so many filters. Not even Photoshop, man. Like, Photoshop's a skill.
Well, you see all those
filters.
Sometimes going through your Instagram feed, and that was another good thing about starting up another profile on Instagram that's just shit that makes me happy, like piglets and mountain biking.
Yep.
was just sometimes you just follow heaps of beautiful chicks, but they just the filters they put on, then you just get frustrated with seeing that much of that.
So
you don't even know what's real. You're like, nah, go on.
I have some basic rules. If your first photo on Tinder is you with a Snapchat or Instagram filter,
Yep.
I don't even look at your next photo, and I don't read your bio. It's fucking nut.
But what's that one? Sorry, what heaps of chicks post that that makes them look like a teddy bear, kind of with glasses, like button nose, and puts the glasses on.
Fuck no. See you later.
Yep, go on.
Do not want. I don't want to have a drink.
Well, I don't
with
want it in my Instagram feed.
I don't want to have a drink with someone that thinks that is as their first photo that is the best impression they can give. That's not my gig. Now, I could be getting them completely wrong, but I don't give a fuck. Because learn to sell yourself as best you can. Actually, it's not even that. That sounds fucking terrible. But you put your best foot forward.
No, this is an advertising medium. Basically. It is. It's a form of media. You are selling yourself.
Like my initial photo is not representative of my life.
Okay.
It's.
Well, no, I imagine no one's are. I bet there's a billion photos of chicks in bikinis at some beach, probably like clear water as fuck. So it's probably somewhere in the Adriatic or the Caribbean or Fiji.
It's amazing.
There'd be loads of those chicks. And there'll be the first 3 photos are probably them having a stupidly good time, which is just totally not normal. They'll be on cruises or they'll be out like dressed heaps in a high-rise building. And then it wouldn't be until about the 4th or the 5th pic where it's actually like them doing something real.
And I think for some of these people, I think, because, I mean, for dudes, it's such a numbers game, man. I mean, you should see some dudes on the fucking bus or on the trains, fucking swipe.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well.
Crazy.
What's he do? Oh, yeah, that's Tinder for sure.
So I think some of these chicks might put like a scenery photo up or something as their first one, so they just don't get hassled by those swipes. And it's only like the 3rd photo that you see. Oh, actually, it's a really pretty girl.
Make a 2% difference. I think people are just a bit trigger happy.
You know what? You might be right.
Flicking their own bean.
I think there probably is theses being written by university students on the psychology behind fucking online dating. Like this shit says so much about people.
It'd be interesting to get the stats and actually like interview Tinder people.
Oh, 100%.
There's got to be people that are that were addicted to this shit as well.
But I think a rating system is appropriate. I think that prevents problems like my mate Cecil. I mean, if
2 out of 10.
If there was a rating system there, then he would have gone, oh, okay, cool. We've matched. She's invited me over.
Feel like being jacked off by a crab.
Let's just see what other people have had to say. Do not go round. Mum is crazy, bitch. Yeah. It becomes a very awkward conversation very quickly.
Blanche has crab hands. Mum is a crazy Christian. Brother, fucking Dave. Brother Dave's also a tentacle short of a squid. And
look, and it may sound terrible. In fact, it probably does. Even saying it, I feel terrible. But it's also so this is what I'm trying to fucking. Now, don't get me wrong. I think if there was a rating system on dating sites, I wouldn't use them because while they would make it safer for me to use them, it would also make them safer for the women that potentially.
No one would get a fucking date.
No,
because the way that people work, you'll get
people
10
cunts.
10 out of, like, how do you put this? You'll get 10 bad reviews before you get one good one.
100%.
And quite often, and I'm guilty of this. Let's take Uber for an example. I don't leave 5 stars. I don't leave any rating. I don't give a shit. It was good. I didn't get raped. I'm still alive. I have my wallet. I have my phone. You did your job. Fucking sweet. If you were really bad, then I'm more inclined to go in and give you 1 star.
Yeah, that's fair. But see now, but you're an outlier, right? Most people are going to use the system, right? Especially because they're invested. Most people are more invested. Mm-hmm. But it'd be. This isn't a good suggestion. It really isn't, because it would just be the most. You would see the most horrible aspects of people come out of them in people's most vulnerable situations. So people are vulnerable because they're lonely. So they're fucking on a dating app, and then they get hurt. So the worst vitriol possible comes out of them because it's a comment section. And then you've got all
and
of
it
a
is
sudden,
personal. Like when you think it is personal, it's 100%
and it would be
personal.
so personal.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it gets none more personal.
No, it's like this person was a shit date. They have a tiny dick. You know, she's actually 10 times fatter than her fucking photos suggest, and older. Like, it would just be brutal as fuck, which would entertain me greatly as a onlooker and bystander, but I would not participate.
Let's develop an app that does exactly this.
Only the most masochistic and sadistic...
it'll be hilarious.
Yeah. BDSM meeting app.
Oh, yeah.
Genuine fucking... Because, oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, I just thought it was a funny fucking thing to think about.
Was.
Yeah. I don't know what comments I'd get, but, it's hard enough to fucking... It's hard to write a dating profile and not come across like a fuckwit. It would be so hard not to come across like a cunt writing comments on someone else's profile.
I'd like to think that people would see through people that are just nasty. I reckon you should also be able to select on a person and see the history of their comments as well, so you'll just see if a person's a fucking cock or not.
Yeah, that's fair.
You should be allowed to see, who they've written on who. Or maybe not even on who, but what they've written about people.
You know what? How much effort would it take to actually to build an app like that?
I'm sure you can pay some Indians or Filipinos or something. Probably I don't know,
stick it on Fiverr.
A couple of K.
See what happens. It'd be an interesting fucking social experiment.
Yeah. You just want to.
You'd get some really interesting data.
Yeah. Really
interesting data.
Really would be. But then you'd have to disclose what sort of information you were collecting as well. But just statistics, I think. Just anything that doesn't name somebody.
No, all you'd want is the statistics of positive to negative ratings, how it affected. You'd probably have a couple of surveys to go around it. I think it'd be interesting to collect the data.
It would be, and just
You'd want to have a solid legal. Yeah, you'd want to have a solid legal department though.
This would get us a PhD in social studies. We're not even at university.
Anyway. So, enough of digression. Onto the Peat smoke.
Sorry, that was a wild digression.
My apologies, listeners.
No, that was a piss funny story.
So, wow, there was... it's very peaty on the nose.
Compared to the 10. 10's so much, like, fruitier, woodier.
Oh, yeah.
Much, much deeper.
Like, there's sweet notes there.
The peats
and the wood
smells just light and peated in comparison.
Now is this... So distilled 2006, bottled 2015. Is that right?
Yeah, get out. So it's a 9.
9-year-old.
A little bit too bitey, to be anywhere near the comparable to the 10.
Yeah, but and
really nice peaty flavors, but it's
peaty and is there tobacco?
Tad watery though, I think, in a way.
Oh,
the finish
you've
is not.
sipped. Okay, cool. I'm still nosing because I was talking.
I've been nosing for ages. Yeah,
I was talking shit. Sorry, but there's a bit of tobacco on the nose. Tobacco or tea, aged tea,
something earthy.
Not much sweetness on the nose though.
No.
It's all kind of bottom end.
Yeah, I'm finding that. Oh, okay. Second sip has a little bit more roundness to it. A touch of sweetness, but that gives way to the peat. Sort of is dominating on my finish.
Yeah, first sip is sharp, but there is a sweet note and a bottom end to it as well. But sharp.
Yeah.
Like it's
It is sharp.
It's quite spicy.
Out of all three of them, it's the one that's sort of leaving a little bit of fire on the way down. God damn it.
It was a little bit kind of an aniseed.
Yeah.
Kind of element to it.
Yeah, and I think that the peat has a little bit to do with that. Like that, the sort of the mentholy kind of thing that the peat has, aniseed also has.
Yep.
Oh, it's got some nice, a little bit of nice cereal notes.
Yeah, it's now for something that's 67 ppm. I suppose it is very dominant, that peat.
Yeah, it is.
And I suppose where, I suppose when I've got something that's peat, that is that peaty, I expect there to be some brine there, and there to be some, pardon me, some of that lanolin, because I expect, with this much peat, I expect the other parts of an Isla to be coming through, whereas it's not there. Like there's, I'm wondering if, I've only had 2 sips, I'm wondering if on the 3rd sip I'll get through the peat and start to taste some Speyside.
You get,
because
I'm starting to, I'm on about the 3rd or the 4th now, and I'm starting to be able to identify those Speyside sweetnesses. Actually, yeah, the bottle's right in front of me, and I'm sort of cheating looking at it, and it did say sweet undertones and tobacco.
It kind of
lingering bonfire embers, but one thing that gave me the power of suggestion was where it said cured meats.
Oh yeah,
and I find it's kind of meaty. It's a little bit hollow, but the finish on it sort of gets thicker. In a way.
Yeah, I'm getting a touch of citrus on the finish, but it's not the juice, the citrus juice or the flesh. It's more like the rind. The bitter.
Oh yeah.
Like
okay, yeah, I'll agree with that. Actually, it's when you, I don't know, you have an orange and then you lick your lips afterwards, and and the peel leaves a really bitter residue on your tongue.
What do they call it when they call it zest, don't they? When you grind a little
bit
of
of zest. You put it. Yeah, Mum used to use that making desserts all the time.
Yeah, go into icing. Mum used to make a delicious...
you make carrot cake with orange icing or something like that.
Yeah, well, Mum used to make I think, cream cheese icing for carrot cake.
Ooh. But
she used to make a banana cake and then do a lemon icing on that, which was spot on.
Yeah,
she used to do a passion fruit icing.
Big fan of lemon icing. Yeah, passion fruit was good too. I remember because Mum was that was her job. Pastry cook for a while.
That's a fucking handy job.
Oh, yeah, it was either that or we all starve because she was a single mum.
Yep.
And, yeah, she was good at what she did.
Well, I quite like all 3 of these, but I'm going to go back and revisit from the start. After the peated, that 10-year-old is just so well-rounded.
I could imagine it'll
well-balanced.
Come into its own.
Like I've gone from saying that the 10-year-old wasn't bad and I didn't mind it to I really quite like it. And I can't wait to try the 15-year-old.
Yeah, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
That sounds very, very nice.
And then, the organic. It's all top notes. Really light floral. Honey and spice. And all things nice. Really delicate. And really did exceed my expectations in terms of balance. And not being super sharp. As I said, I expected to cut my mouth. And then...
Yeah, I'm going to give some good points, I think, to the organic in light of what it is.
And I didn't expect to, but I'm kind of disappointed with the peat.
I'm a little bit too.
It just lacks the balance and the complexity of the other 2.
Yeah, it seems like
Oh, let's do a peated.
And maybe
yeah, that's peated.
And maybe they've over-peated it. I mean, you know,
don't-
67 ppm is heavy, but
I think. See,
and I
to
didn't
me,
think
it
you
doesn't.
could. I didn't think you could
it
over-peat
doesn't-
something.
I'd say that Ardbeg tastes way peatier than this,
Yes.
but Ardbeg also tastes thinner. Like this has a lot more sugars going for it. There's that. It still has that sweetness to it. Where, as I think about Isla's, for an NAS Isla, this holds up. The peated Benromach holds up to a lot of NAS Islas, I think. Just because I like that extra facet of the sweetness. But yeah, a 10 or a 15 of this, ooh,
Yeah.
that could be something special.
Yeah, like a 12 or a 15. I mean, I'm surprised that's 9. It doesn't taste like a 9-year-old to me.
No, it doesn't.
It tastes like a no-age statement. It tastes young. It definitely needs to spend more time in wood.
Yeah.
But it just lacks the complexity and the balance. I mean, you're saying you're getting a lot of sweet notes from it.
I really am
I'm
getting
not.
those sweet undertones. Especially on the finish, once the peat dies down, getting a lot of sugar on the back of the tongue.
Compare suggestion. Okay. All of a sudden, that's a lot. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to revisit it with a drop.
Yeah, I haven't dropped that yet, but I've put a couple in the organic and the 10-year-old, and whoa, the nose on the 10-year-old now, so big and rich. Reminds me of the Glendronach 15
Yeah.
of the
Sherry.
the revival, but the Billy Walker revival more so than Dr.
Yeah,
Barry's.
agreed. The sherry, heavy sugars of the sherry, but there's also some leather there.
Oh god, just 2
And
drops.
the
I don't have
wood-
much left, but
The
2
wood
drops.
really comes through
Yep.
on the 10-year-old now. Pardon me.
2 drops on that, and that is insane.
Yeah, that's really different. Really, really complex. Really, really well balanced on the nose.
Yeah, seriously, and really well balanced on the palate with just a couple of drops.
Oh yeah,
That's super smooth. You're left with a little bit of pepper.
but it's subtle.
That's nice though, the way that it's dancing. It's dancing more on the roof of my mouth than on my tongue.
Yeah, wow. Big fan of the 10-year-old. So I've also put a couple
Yeah.
of drops in the organic.
Yeah, same here.
Oh wow, super sweet on the nose now.
It's
No spice.
deadened the nose for mine. I could
I
could smell the pear.
You're also in that big fucking glass,
but
though.
I could smell the pear from like a couple of inches away. And now I've got to
So it's all kind of
I've got to get deep.
So it's honey, like real light floral honey, like
Yeah.
clover,
Yeah.
or maybe heather.
Yeah, almost like a watered down honey.
Yep. Like a creamed honey kind of thing. Real floral. It's super delicate too on the nose. And that spice is really pushed back.
Whoa.
Really pushed back.
That's something else on the tongue. I've never had a whiskey like this before.
Oh, wow. So it's sharpened it up in some respects, but it's mellowed it in other respects.
That's it. There's this weird, really sharp bitterness to it,
Yep.
but really smooth finish.
Yep. Yeah, the finish is fucking immaculate.
Yeah.
It's super sweet, super light, but super
Very
long.
light. Very
But
light.
super long too. Like it's still there, but the sharpness that was there and that stayed with the finish is gone, but it peaks. So it peaks in your mouth and then it fades before you finish swallowing.
It's very focused.
It's really strange.
It does. I'll give you a sniff of the Henry McWilliams. Oh, sorry, the Henry Williams and Sons. Yeah, after we're done here, because that on the nose, that's very similar.
So I think the 10 benefits from a drop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the organic does.
No, it's
I mean,
nice.
look,
It's nice to try it that way.
Don't get me wrong. They both benefit so that you get to try it that different way.
Yeah, what it's done to the 10 has benefited much, much more.
100%. I don't know if I would add a drop. If I was having a dram at the 10, I don't know if I would add a drop.
I might halfway through.
Maybe halfway through, but I wouldn't pour it and add a drop. Not like some cask strengths that I've got on the shelf where I'm pouring it. I'm going to have that initial dram or that initial mouthful.
Feel the pain.
To, basically wake my taste buds the fuck up. And then probably a second small sip to appreciate it the way that the distillers or the who does the bottling? Is it the master distiller or the master blender? It'd be the master blender, wouldn't it?
I'm not sure. We should write a few emails.
But so I always have a couple of sips of something that's cask strength that I know I'm going to add water to, just to taste it as the blender.
That's it.
Intended me to.
As it's presented.
But there's often times like the Glenlivet Nadura, for instance, is cask strength in virgin oak, and so the first couple of sips are just huge on the palate with spice.
That'll take a while for your senses to die down.
Oh, massive! And it's almost like your first sip, and then you kind of got to give yourself a little bit of time before you have a second sip, because it's just so. But I always add water to it because it becomes far more palatable. It's not palatable to me at cask strength, but I'll always have the first couple of sips just to, experience it the way that the blender wanted me to.
Yep.
Okay, that's nicer on the nose.
It is. But I don't think it's benefited at all. But I shouldn't have said anything until after you're done.
Yeah, it feels a little more balanced on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little less confused.
Yeah.
Because I think it was a little confused on the nose before, and I think maybe that's where I was. Maybe I was when I was tasting it, it confused me a little bit, which is probably a fault within myself. But I wonder if it's benefit from a drop.
I personally don't think it has.
I think it has.
Okay, I just think it's thinned it out. There's no real substance except for the peat.
It's affected the finish, which is unfortunate. Out. So the finish isn't as nice, but it's separated.
A little bit more wood.
It's open. Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot more wood there, and the wood allows. The wood's allowed the peat to separate from what you were talking about before, which maybe your palate's just a little bit. A little more awake or a little more developed, or but you were already getting those sweet notes and everything.
Sweet undertones.
That was all hiding behind the peat for me, and it was tasting really single dimensional.
Actually, a little bit of water has brought that up a little bit, but it's thinned it out.
Yeah,
it's spread it longer.
Yeah, look, it hasn't ruined the robe on it, but you're right. It is thinner in the mouth, but.
Well, but just also the taste is thinner.
Well, see,
for
mine, I can now differentiate. It tastes a little bit more, I won't say more complex, but I'm able to see the different parts of the whiskey.
Yeah, it's pushed all the facets apart a little bit more.
It's what's the word I'm looking for?
Does it differentiate?
It's almost teased the whiskey apart.
Yeah.
It's just teased it apart. Where before it was a bit of a knot, and I couldn't differentiate. I wasn't getting, a sense of balance or a sense of complexity or depth. I'm getting that now with the drop, and the peat's become an accompaniment, even though it's still a strong accompaniment.
Yeah,
rather than fucking belting me in the face. Yeah. And
it's no longer the snare drum; it's the bass drum, though.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's still there, and it's still.
It's very, very prominent.
It's still leading me.
Yeah.
But it's allowing some of those other notes to come through that I was hearing you talk about, but not picking up myself.
So I don't know if we have time for the usual TV music.
I think you might be right. I don't. We've had
So we'll have to go on to some ratings.
We went pretty hard on the banter.
That was I got some deep laughter out of that though. Poor Cecil.
No, poor Cecil. Still though, I'm looking forward to that story's gonna do me for a while. Thank you.
I'll be telling my son that one.
So I suppose we should go in order. Now, we really should keep a note of our previous ratings so that we can keep a good, what's the word I'm looking for?
Record.
Yeah. Record will do, I suppose. We should have a record so that we can keep everything in
archive.
So that we can keep everything in contrast. Is contrast
You're looking
the
for
word
a
I'm looking
classier
for?
word than
I'm looking for a classier word than contrast.
record. I think archive.
Yeah.
Sorry, classier word than contrast.
Yeah.
No, I thought you were looking for a classier word than record.
No, because we want to have. Fuck, the word escaped me. But we want to know what we've rated before so that we can keep it in
comparison.
Yeah, I suppose comparison's actually the word I'm looking for, aren't I?
It is more. It's
So
it's very accurate.
So that we can compare.
Mm.
Yeah, it is probably the most accurate word.
Well, what we can do is go on to livingthedram.com.au.
You know, I've been on that website a few times. I quite like that website, and if you're interested in Living the Dram in any way, shape, or form, want to contact us, want to see previous episodes, what we've rated things, what's coming up, that's a really good spot. And if you've just stumbled across us, and you want to listen to us on a different platform, the website's a really good place to go because you can click on links, things like that.
It's pretty much your first port of call. If anybody ever asks me, how do I listen to you guys? It's livingthedram.com.au. All the middle right is just a link to everything. You want to see us on YouTube. YouTube's usually the first place it comes out. You want to subscribe via iTunes. You want to subscribe via Spotify. You want to just the RSS feed through your news app.
If you want to download,
download
or
it.
stream from
or
the
just
website.
want to watch it in the website, yeah.
And besides, Rick put a fucking hell of a lot of work into the website, so vindicate him and visit it. And
you can also leave comments and tell
That's
us just how shit we are.
Yeah, you can jump in touch with us.
How much the website sucks.
We're such a small entity that we'll probably engage in the comments.
Oh, we totally will. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
You cast that rod.
Yeah, that's it. We're not Tim Ferriss, man. We're not too big for our comment section yet.
Only answer emails between 12 and 12:30.
Okay,
right, I've got the site up.
See?
Anyway, what do you want to know?
How handy. Well, I just well, it's all right. Give me the Loch Lomond.
Loch Lomond 12 because that's the one we enjoyed the most.
Well, give me all three. We did the classic, the 12, and the 18. Yeah.
OG 8.2 from both. 12-year-old, you gave it an 8.9. 18-year-old, you gave it an 8.8.
So I reckon that these are around that point for me.
That's what I reckon. This is close to the 18-year-old, if not just a little bit under.
So
the 10-year-old.
I suppose that's kind of cheating, though, isn't it? Looking at fucking what the ratings were
Not
that I
really.
gave before.
Not really.
Because
then you're holding it like it's putting it in perspective. Otherwise, you're going to rate them in compared to all three of them, and you're probably just going to go for like a large 8 anyway.
Well, see, I've decided that with the points. So I heard something recently where someone said if you're going to rate something out of 10, take the 7 away, because you quite often go for the 7 if you're not sure, and then if you take the 7 away, then you're forced to either go a 6, which is subpar,
6 pretty brutal,
or an 8, which is an endorsement.
Is above, yeah.
So I'm going to take 0.7 out of my vocabulary, moving forward.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
So there is no longer a 0.7; it's only 0.6 or 0.8.
Okay.
And on that, the 10-year-old. Look, I'm going to give it a 0.9, 8.9. It would have gotten 8.8. But that thread of peat and the balance of it, the longer it's been left to breathe effectively,
Interesting.
gets it that extra point. So the 10-year-old for me, 8.9.
Okay. I straight up thought, yeah, around the 8.8 or 8.6.
Yeah, right.
By your rule, but yeah, 8.7. So probably 8.8. Looking back, Ooh, no, okay, I'm going to go 8.6. I like the triple wood equally as much, if not more. Lefroy triple wood equally as much, if not more.
Yeah, see, the triple wood was a NAS, and while I really enjoyed it, I think this has
I
just
love
got
the complexity of that.
Well, see, I really like the complexity of the Speyside with the peat.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, you're right. Okay, I'll sit 8.8.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 8.8.
That's fair.
Final lock it in, Eddie.
Now, the organic. This is where I don't feel that it's fair to give it an 8.6 because I think it's better than that.
Well,
But-
okay. See, I don't. But I was expecting a fucking seriously a 6, a 6.8.
Well, I wasn't expecting to give it, to rate it highly, but it's really different, and the fact that it's really different, the fact that so much has gone into the making of it, it's maybe that
It's
shouldn't
nice when
impact
you
it.
know. It is nice when you know a little bit about it.
It really does. It's. I feel as though it deserves. Gee.
Revisit.
Look, I should give it an 8.8, but I can't. I'm going to have to give it an 8.6.
Really? Okay, I'm going 8.2.
Okay.
But fuck, I think that's almost being generous. But for what it is, that's still like an 8.2 is still incredibly accessible.
Yeah, it is.
Just there's flavors to it that are weird. It's unique, and that's the main thing that it's got going for, and that's probably what keeps it an 8.2 and not a sub 8.
Yeah.
It's unique. I've never tasted anything like it, and it's not bad. It's not a bad whiskey.
No, it's not a bad whiskey at all. But because I had such low expectations, I think that's why it's pushed it to the 0.6 for me.
Sure.
Because it's really exceeded my expectations.
Okay.
It's super different. It's super unique. There's super heaps that's gone into the making of it, and I really fucking respect that.
I appreciate that more than the whiskey itself, probably.
But I think I'm in the same boat. I think it's the having delved so deeply into the distillery and the way that they do things. I think it gets overs because of the way that they've gone about things, the passion that they have for it.
For sure, you have to be invested.
You've got to be really you've got to, and you're doing it for the love of doing it, because this doing this isn't going to make you rich.
Oh, no.
Not being a tiny distillery that's producing less than 500,000 litres a year, that's that's going to make you well off. Yep, sure, you'll have a good lifestyle, but you are not going to be rich. You're not, if you're not producing 3 million litres of spirit a year, you're always going to be niche.
Yep.
And you're doing it for the love of doing it. And I mean,
well, that's it also. They're keeping their overheads low in a way by only having such a small workforce.
But this is what I imagine when I imagine building a distillery and having my own distillery. This is kind of what I imagine. Small distillery, low output, doing it for the love of doing it. So sure. I really feel in line with that.
Yeah, nice. So
now,
where does
the peated go?
This is where I'm most confused.
Same. So there's a part of me that wants to give it more than it deserves because it's peated.
Yeah, I know. I knew that's exactly how you'd feel.
I'm going to give it an 8.6 as well. Because I don't think it's worse than the organic.
It's definitely not. I prefer it to the organic. I prefer the overall flavour of it to the organic.
But I can't... Yeah, I think... And far be it from me. I mean, I'm not Jim Murray. Far be it from me to say that they've done it wrong. But, it just... This I'd probably give an 8.7 because it's the cop-out number, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to give it the 8.6 to go with the organic, because I think they both have weaknesses and strengths that are equal with each other.
Sure.
And I don't prefer either. Well, I do. I prefer the peated.
I prefer the peated.
But that's because I love a peated whiskey. But I don't think it's better than the organic.
Yeah, I think it's slightly better, and I'm going 8.5.
Okay. See, that's what I've done. I've cheated myself by taking 8.7 out, because I've given this an 8.6. This probably deserves an 8.7, but it doesn't quite deserve an 8.8. So I'm going to give the organic an 8.5, and I'm going to give the peated an 8.6.
Yeah. All right, cool. So let's see what a Reverend, the Bogfather. Let's go the 10-year-old straight up. He's given that 87.5.
Wow, I'm higher than the Godfather.
What else we got in here?
No comments from the Godfather?
Oh, yeah, if you want me to read them, okay.
Please.
Matured in hand-selected oak casks for a relatively small, still using peat. So that's a weird sentence. He doesn't finish it. For a relatively small, still using peat, the experience is a slightly... third time lucky. For a relatively small, still... okay, there we go. Now I've got the cadence. For a relatively small, still using peat, the experience is a delicately light one.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it's delicate or light. There is a lot of flavours in the 10-year-old.
There is, but I think compared to what a peated expression usually is, I think that's a delicate and light peated expression.
For lightly peated, that's a 10-year-old, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. Benromach Organic. Young and matured in possibly first fill bourbon or more likely European, even Scottish oak. You cannot do other than sit up and take notice of this guns blazing biggin. An absolute treat. 91.
Wow.
Very surprised. Very surprised.
And the peat
and
smoke.
the peated, is it?
Peat smoke.
It's peat smoke.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Well, these are his comments for the 2008.
And what are we drunk? The 2016.
That's a 2016, isn't it?
26 and 2015.
2015. So yeah, 7-year discrepancy. There's also a peat smoke batch 3, but that might be different. So I'll just go the 2008. That was certainly different. The nose has the oily hallmark of Kailua, though without the phenol intensity. The palate, those oils apart, is very a different tale. A unique flavour profile for sure. A kind of smoked toffee fudge which actually makes your tongue ache while tasting, and there is a bitterness also. Normally I can spot exactly from where it originates. This one leaves me baffled, though I'd go from the distillation if pushed. Yeah, whatever. Didn't really relate to any of that.
And the number?
85.5.
Okay.
So I think right in between both of us.
I think he's right. That peat one is the oiliest of them. And it does coat the mouth. But look, regardless of the Reverend, and I have nothing but respect for the man, I'm going to stick with my
same here.
Stick with my ratings of them.
Sure.
The organic was good, but I couldn't give it 9s plus. It's just too...
No, it's too unrefined. It's like a scattershot.
Yep.
It's unique. That's all I can say is unique. By all means, taste it. Please go out, buy it. Yeah. Especially if you're a bit of a connoisseur and you've never tasted it before. It's different. It's different. It's clean. That's one thing you can taste.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very clean.
I mean, it's only 6-year-old, so
yeah.
it just doesn't have.
It's just unique.
It just hasn't had the time in wood to give it a 9. I just don't feel comfortable giving it that. But
if there was such thing as the 15-year-old,
oh my god,
I'd be all over.
There'd be a bottle of that on my shelf for sure.
Yeah, I'd be all over that like a fucking bukkake film.
Because honestly, and that is the only thing so far that I've tried that's been from virgin oak that I've enjoyed.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And I've actually enjoyed it. So, a 15-year-old version of that would probably fucking
would crush.
blow my mind.
Absolutely crush.
It would be amazing. So I think there's nothing wrong with organic whiskey, I think. And we may even do an organic episode.
Yeah, that's
considering we've got, a 15-year-old Deanston and, some Swedish single malts, a Welsh single malt.
Yeah.
Maybe we see if we can.
It's nice.
We might see if we can get our hands on some of those kind of
Hopefully
things.
Hopefully an Australian distillery starts following suit as
well.
Yeah,
look, and I mean, I know cool. a lot of places, I know a lot of breweries are using wild yeast, and some of the distilleries are starting to use wild yeast as well. I'd love to see an Aussie.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to say about Benromach. Actually, they use distillers and brewers yeast.
There you go.
Yeah, nice.
But I'd love to. I mean, some of the beers that I've tasted that have had wild yeast.
Yeah.
Crazy. The difference. Like, it's just so. The variations and everything. So I'd love to see.
Another thing I think that might come with that, though, is inconsistencies.
But I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
I'm happy with inconsistencies.
What makes it even more boutique.
And I'd love to see a boutique.
And then the different bottlings, different batches, different.
Yep, exactly.
Year to year,
because that makes your batch numbering so much more pertinent.
Yep.
But I'd love to see a small Aussie distillery, using wild yeast and doing an organic expression. I think that could have huge value.
That sure could.
That's niche as
maybe
fuck.
Put that to Nant or Sullivan's Cove, I reckon.
Yep, like niche as fuck. And it's something that I'd like to do if I was distilling, for sure.
I'd definitely get amongst it.
But look, I've enjoyed the Benromach Rickus.
Yeah, this has been an excellent foray into a previously uncharted territory, basically.
This was a really nice way to go. Informative as always. I've enjoyed their whiskey, and I look forward to.
They should definitely keep it up. I
think they're definitely on the right track.
They'll definitely be.
And they're already new,
Yeah, very young. Not very young, but young. What, 93?
Yeah, exactly. Actually,
since it was last bought, so...
I had a note here as well, just before we finish up, that there is a completely organic distillery that is just opened, so it would have opened in the last year. Do you have any idea of how you would fucking announce that?
Probably Neen, actually. Because if you look at the Anok,
yeah, okay,
yep. Basically,
so it might be Neen.
Yeah, Nan. The N and the first N and the C might be basically silent, which is this language.
I know, right?
That's amazing.
But yeah,
it is the king of redundant syllables.
100%. So there is a 100% organic distillery that's opened in the last couple of years. So we might we'll look out for that as well. But I think there's definitely a niche boutique market that these guys are in. I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah,
I can't wait to taste later expressions.
No matter what we said, I'd say keep it up.
And by all means, I would absolutely have these on my shelf for collecting factor alone. The organic and the fact that they're such a young distillery, I think they're going to go a long way. And I think they've got the right idea. I really do.
I think, my next Benromach is going to be a bottle of the 15.
Yeah, I think I can't wait to try the 15.
Yeah, that'll be lovely.
But once again, it's been fantastic sitting down
to.
Talking shit about whiskey with you, Rickus.
Cheers, my brother.
Slancha. This episode of Living the Dram is brought to you by Rupert's Pet Cremation and Transport. Rupert's Pet Cremation and Transport offers individual pet cremations on the Central Coast. They aim to ease the grief associated with losing a beloved pet by providing a compassionate and respectful service. Rupert's fully trained and caring team will look after everything, from collection to return of your pet's ashes within 4 business days. They have a range of urns to choose from, and you can personalise the plaque with your own inscription. Furthermore, each cremation package comes with a free memorial box and a range of keepsakes. You can customise the package by adding a framed paw print mould and or garden memorial stone. More information available at www.rpct.com.au, and if you mention the Living the Dram podcast for a free paw print mould with your cremation package. Conditions apply. Rupert's Pet Cremation and Transport. They treat your pet like their own.
This episode of Living the Dram is brought to you by the Duff Bars, providing safe, fun, affordable and responsible travel to music festivals around Australia. You know what I fucking hate? I've said it before.
What do you hate, Rick?
I hate driving.
Yeah.
I fucking hate driving.
Especially
So
at
you know-
festivals.
I can't think of anything worse than spending 4 days partying and then by the end of it being in the closest you've ever brought yourself to liver shutdown.
So bad.
And
Driving there is
then
bad enough, but driving home?
having to get yourself home from Wagga with
Yeah.
5.5 hours.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not a fun
I cannot
drive.
think of anything worse. I'd rather punch myself in the balls for 5 hours.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
You'd enjoy that more.
Probably would.
Means the last 2 days of your festival, basically, you're on rations.
Mm-hmm.
Can only drink. Terrible.
Well, the Duff Bus, one of the greatest thing I've heard of in recent times. The Duff Bus has been safely carrying people interstate for 5 years, and it's much, much more than just a coach journey. The Duff Bus is an environmentally friendly alternative to driving, and they're committed to reducing the carbon footprint of festivals. The Duff Bus offers you an experience you'll never forget. Like, you're going to make new friends for life when you travel with a bunch of awesome, like-minded duffers. And rather than spending that $100, $200, what's the cost of petrol these days? It just went up to $1.70.
It ain't cheap. It's going
It's
to cost you.
horseshit.
It's going to cost you $100 each way.
Easy,
Yeah.
yeah. And driving out to rural, who knows where,
Yeah.
and then you get herded like a bloody cow into a holding pen before you get in, while they, randomly check your car randomly.
That's an unpleasant experience.
Look at
let me
that.
tell you.
I would rather be kicking back on a bus with a bunch of like-minded duffers getting psyched.
Already on it too.
Exactly. Yeah, getting started, warming each other. It's kind of par for the course though, going hard on the first night. Everybody regrets it, but everybody does it.
That's true. But
Yeah.
you can still go hard on the first night. You just get to go even harder because you've warmed up already.
Exactly.
Bless you.
And once you get there too, they set up an awesome camp, nice place to kick back, and they just keep the good times rolling. And the 2019-2020 summer sees the Duff Bus heading to the postponed Subsonic, and I believe Rainbow might have suffered a similar fate.
I think it may have been postponed,
Okay.
but more information available through the Duff Bus.
Yeah, at www.duffbus.com.au. They also head to Earth Freak, Esoteric, and Rabbit's Eat Lettuce. A single Duff return trip costs from about $100, but if you're multi-duffing this year, you can book multiple trips and save cash. For every additional trip you book, you'll save about $30.
That's good value because driving there and back is going to cost you at least more than that.
I think
You're saving money. Straight up.
Time, your only non-renewable resource. You have actually time to do shit which might be just fucking just chill.
Yeah, well,
just detox, just
Yeah,
process.
or detox on the way back. Warm up on the
Yeah.
way there, detox
Exactly.
on the way back. But
Exactly. And
but
then
that's just
you're-
in fuel. Like that.
Yeah.
That's cheaper than the fuel.
Yep.
Straight up.
Yeah, great point.
Don't be stupid.
Fantastic point. Be
Use
part
the
of the
Duff
solution.
Bus.
Don't be
That's it.
stupid. Check out www.doofbus, that's doofbus.com.au for more info. Terms and conditions apply.